7月9日，94岁高龄的时装界泰斗皮尔·卡丹在法国南部普罗旺斯举办2017-2018时装发布会，展示的近200套服装囊括了这名常青树设计大师亲手设计的男装、女装、正装、休闲、礼服、婚纱等多个系列。这场时装秀依然诠释这位享誉世界的时装设计大师自上世纪50、60年代以来一直坚守的完美主义和未来主义风格。作为一代时尚教父，皮尔·卡丹把他勤奋设计和大胆创新的一生浓缩在了这场时装秀上，以纪念其从事时装设计70周年。无论是在波妞旧火车站临时搭建的秀场里，还是在其自由领地拉戈斯特城堡露台展示会上，皮尔·卡丹向人们展示了涵盖春夏2季的服装和服饰，其中既有飘逸的短衫、裙装，也有厚实的外套、长裤，多达数十种色彩的巧妙搭配和恰如其分的运用，或反差强烈，或过度自然，相互辉映，相得益彰。随处可见的时尚配饰，或眼镜，或帽饰，或花饰，均难掩符号元素的完美点缀，以及普罗旺斯热情浪漫色调的光芒。在设计理念上，展示的全部时装既保留旧式传统完美主义款式，又不失貌似飞碟外星人图形的未来主义装扮，更突出其提倡时尚大众化的时代诉求。当记者问到为何过了台背之年仍然保持创作和举办时装秀时，皮尔·卡丹解释说：“对我而言，生存的理由就是时尚。我不能停止创作，如同画家或者作家那样，我需要表达。”他还这样评价自己的这场时装秀：“一般来讲，时装行业是年轻人的，而非属年长之辈，但我属于保持青春的老年人。”94岁高龄的皮尔·卡丹是目前法国唯一在世的第1代时装大师，也是法国唯一一位当选为法兰西院士的时装设计师。1946年，皮尔·卡丹开始从事时装设计工作，至今已有70年。
His shop is in the center of Paris. Pierre Cardin, He's been a designer for more than 60 years. 60 years! And he's never stopped challenging convention. This might look better if I were French. Anyway, I didn't really come to buy anything, but to meet Monsieur Cardin himself. He'll be 90 this year, and his office is just upstairs.
But look my room. Today it was clean, now look my office.
It's not really messy, it's filled with memories. He's been celebrated.
The Time magazine.
Yes, I see.
He's known everybody.
Jacqueline Kennedy. This is with Fidel Castro when I was in Cuba.
And he was commissioned by the Beatles to design these suits. This is Pierre Cardin. His creations alone would have made him famous, but as a young designer, he took on the titans of French couture and changed the entire industry. But I'll come back to that, because now, nearly 90, he can't stop working.
Today is more fancy.
Last fall, he presented a new collection.
My new hotel.
You're doing a hotel.
He's published a magazine, had foreign literature translated to French.
I make so many things, in my life. So many.
Given millions to promote young artists, and when France awarded him its highest honor,
And Pierre Cardin.
he designed his own sword.
I drew myself.
Yes.
When I was finished one thing very well, I start something else thing. I don't like stop. I like to prove myself. I'm a gambler,
He threw this party last year at Maxime's, one of the oldest and most famous restaurants in Paris. 30 years ago, when the original owners told him they wanted to sell, he bought it.
In one day I decide, one day. Cost a lot of million, A lot.
He was actually born in Italy, Pietro Cardin.
I was born in this window.
His family came to France when he was just 2. He entered the business
When I was 14.
by the 1960s.
Cardin heeft een speelse inval.
He was everywhere. His designs defined the decade. Just ask the executive fashion and beauty editor of Harper's Bazaar, Avril Graham.
See, when I look at a dress like this, I think it screams what Pierre Cardin was about in the 60s. His love of geometric patterns, circles, that sort of space-age avant-garde that he was so famous for, and that very sort of futuristic dabbling with materials that were perhaps non-traditional, vinyls and PVCs and man-made fabrics.
Because fashion must be tomorrow, for me. What is a fashion tomorrow, not yesterday? Because my fashion is very young in any case.
Yes.
Some dress cannot wearing by an old lady,
I don't think so.
ridiculous.
Yes.
But his career really began when he went to work for the man who would become his mentor, Christian Dior.
I know a little bit the fashion, but Dior helped me what it is elegance, what it is a tradition in the same time. Dior was more classic than myself.
Yes.
Within a few years, Dior helped Cardin establish his own house. He was barely 30.
You know, he just didn't suddenly arrive in the universe in the 1960s and go into that whole futuristic mode. His first collection that he ever showed was in 1951.
Finally, Pierre Cardin.
This is a man who had honed his craft since the early days. He understood the expert tailoring. He was an apprentice for a tailor. That was his very first job.
Hein? Bien. Vous faites un tout petit régime. Un petit régime.
Okay, but buying a jacket this way, finding something you like that's about your size, this is called prêt-à-porter. It means ready to wear. It's affordable, everyday elegance. And today, it's how millions of people can buy designer clothes. But designers in the 50s catered to the super rich. Theirs was the world of haute couture, fashion for red carpets and state dinners. Each piece handmade, the fabric, stitching, and embroidery unique.
This is a very elitist profession. You know, Paris haute couture, Paris design, crème de la crème.
It's just that haute couture is so labor intensive that designers lost money on every piece. So in 1959, he broke ranks and gambled his career by selling his collection in a department store. This was the turning point. To the old guard, it was an outrage, but Cardin made millions, and other designers soon got the message.
Now every designer shows at a department store.
Always, I was always successful.
he had helped change the business of fashion forever. But many of his critics feel he went too far when he began to license his name. Other manufacturers put it on things like T-shirts, ties, baby buggies, and
pencils or pens or key fobs, whatever.
Do you see fashion as an art or a business?
Both. Everything is business. Your picture is business. If you don't sell your picture, you are no one, no you. This is my last glass.
There's no question that he really has
Yes.
has a lasting historical legacy.
Profile.
He was definitely part of a movement. There's no question. If I think you look at something like this, for example, and we can see familiar references even in today's market.
I'm fancy. I'm fancy boy.
Yes.
I'm not classic at all, no. If I was classic, I don't have so many risks, in my life.
so whether you think he's high fashion or low-brow, Pierre Cardin is the man who made elegance affordable.
It's extraordinary life, yes. Voilà.